Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we are stepping past the headlines to examine the invisible architecture of our world. Imagine for a moment two very different mornings on the same planet. In the early hours in Tallinn, Estonia, a grandmother sits in her kitchen. Within 10 minutes, she logs into a secure government portal to renew a prescription, votes in a local election, and checks her grandson's school grades. It is seamless, instantaneous, and woven into the fabric of her life. Now, shift your focus 4,000 miles away to a rural village in the Central African Republic. A young entrepreneur is walking 6 kilometers to the nearest town. He is not taking a morning stroll. He is hoping that a solar-powered kiosk has enough charge and a strong enough signal for him to download a single PDF manual on sustainable farming. These two realities coexist in the same year. They represent the two sides of what we call the digital divide. For decades, we have defined this divide simply as the gap between those who have access to the internet and those who do not. But as we move deeper into the 2020s, that definition has mutated. It is no longer just about who has a cable and who does not. It is about the quality of that connection, the affordability of the data, the skills to navigate the digital world, and increasingly, access to the artificial intelligence systems that are reshaping the global economy. Today, we are going to unmask this global divide. We will dissect the anatomy of this inequality, explore the human cost, analyze the emerging AI divide, and look at the bold solutions attempting to bridge the chasm. To truly understand this issue, we must first abandon the binary idea that you are either online or offline. The reality is a spectrum of connectivity that creates tiers of digital citizenship. The first level is the access divide. As of 2025, approximately 5.56 billion people, which is about 68% of the global population, are connected to the internet. While this is a historic achievement, it leaves a staggering 2.6 billion people in the dark. These individuals are not randomly distributed. They are concentrated in the global south, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa and parts of South Asia. In high-income nations, internet penetration sits comfortably above 93%. In low-income countries, that figure plummets to just 27%. For billions, the physical infrastructure, the fiber optic cables, the cell towers, the exchange points simply does not exist where they live. But let us assume the signal is there. This leads us to the second level, the affordability divide. This is where the disparity becomes most cruel. In Israel, fierce competition and advanced infrastructure have driven the cost of 1 gigabyte of mobile data down to a negligible 2 cents. Contrast this with Zimbabwe or the Falkland Islands, where the same amount of data can cost upwards of $40. This creates an income trap. For a minimum wage worker in the United States, a monthly broadband bill represents less than 1% of their income. For a villager in Sierra Leone, a basic data plan can consume 20 to 30% of their monthly earnings. When the choice is between food and data, the digital world waits. Then, there is the quality divide. Access is a deceptive term. A venture capitalist in Silicon Valley attending a video meeting via a gigabit fiber connection, and a student in rural Philippines trying to load a Wikipedia page over a spotty 3G connection are technically both online, but their experiences are worlds apart. While 5G networks now cover 84% of the population in high-income countries, they reach only 4% of people in low-income nations. The result is a two-speed world where the wealthy execute high-frequency trades and stream high-definition video, while the poor struggle to send a text message. Finally, we have the usage divide, or the skills gap. Giving a smartphone to someone who cannot read or who has never navigated a user interface does not close the divide. There are 3 billion people who live in areas covered by mobile broadband but do not use it. In the European Union, a 2024 study found that 43% of 14-year-olds lack basic digital skills. In developing nations, this number is far higher. Furthermore, if the internet is overwhelmingly in English, Mandarin, or Spanish, and you speak a local dialect with no web presence, the internet offers you little utility. This divide is not just an academic statistic. It is a barrier that determines life outcomes. The human cost is immense, starting with education. The COVID-19 pandemic was a global stress test for digital equality, and the world failed. When schools locked down, the United Nations estimates that nearly 500 million students could not access remote learning. The long-term economic impact of this learning loss is estimated in the trillions of dollars. Even today, the homework gap persists. In the United States, rural and inner-city students still sit in parking lots of fast food restaurants to hijack Wi-Fi just to submit their assignments. In healthcare, the divide can be the difference between life and death. Telehealth has revolutionized medicine, allowing specialists to diagnose patients thousands of miles away. In rural Uganda, internet-connected tablets allow midwives to log patient vitals and get real-time advice from doctors in the capital. Where this connectivity fails, maternal mortality rates remain stubbornly high. Supply chains for vaccines and critical drugs increasingly rely on digital tracking. When the network goes dark, the supply chain breaks and clinics run out of life-saving medicines. Perhaps the most persistent aspect of the divide is gender. In low and middle-income countries, women are 15% less likely to use mobile internet than men. Cultural norms often dictate that men control the family's finances and devices. In some regions, a woman owning a smartphone is seen as taboo. As commerce moves to digital platforms, women without access are systematically excluded from the economy, reinforcing cycles of poverty. Just as we begin to bridge the broadband gap, new technologies are digging new trenches. We are now facing the AI divide. Artificial intelligence is the steam engine of the 21st century. But unlike the steam engine, which could be physically exported, AI power is concentrated in the cloud servers of a few nations. Developing nations are currently generating vast amounts of data, but they often lack the infrastructure to process it. Instead, this data is harvested by tech giants, processed into AI models, and sold back to the developing world, a phenomenon known as data colonialism. Furthermore, if AI models are trained primarily on data from the global north, they will inevitably be biased. Facial recognition systems struggle with darker skin tones, and language models fail to grasp the nuance of local dialects. This creates a future where the intelligent systems that run the world do not recognize or understand half of its population. There is also the accessibility gap. We often speak of the digital divide in terms of geography, but the most overlooked divide is disability. A 2024 analysis of the world's top 1 million homepages found that 96.3% failed basic web accessibility standards. For a blind user relying on a screen reader, a website without image descriptions or proper structure is a blank wall. As banking, voting, and employment move exclusively online, the 1.3 billion people globally with disabilities are being actively designed out of society. However, it is not all bad news. There are nations and communities tackling this with inspiring ingenuity. Estonia is the poster child for closing the divide. Following its independence in 1991, the resource-poor nation bet everything on the internet. They declared internet access a human right in the year 2000. They introduced programs to put computers in every classroom. Today, 99% of Estonian state services are online. You can set up a company in 15 minutes. The digital divide in Estonia is virtually non-existent because the state made digital literacy a cornerstone of citizenship, not a luxury. Then there is Rwanda, which faced a different challenge, a largely rural population with low literacy. Their solution was the Digital Ambassadors program. Instead of just handing out phones, the government recruited thousands of young, tech-savvy Rwandans. These ambassadors traveled to villages to teach 3.2 million citizens how to use e-government services and agricultural apps. Digital literacy rates soared from less than 10% to over 75% in 7 years. It is a powerful lesson that technology is useless without the human infrastructure to support it. A more complex case is the arrival of low Earth orbit satellites like SpaceX's Starlink in the Amazon rainforest. In 2024, the Marubo tribe, deep in the Brazilian Amazon, connected to the internet. The benefits were immediate. Snakebite victims could call for helicopters, and teachers could access the world's libraries. But the cultural shock was instant. Tribal elders reported teenagers becoming addicted to social media, a sudden influx of pornography, and a decrease in participation in traditional hunting and gathering. It serves as a warning that connectivity is a shock to the system. Without preparation and digital literacy that includes digital hygiene and cultural preservation, the internet can erode the social fabric as quickly as it connects it. So how do we move forward? Closing the digital divide requires a shift from simple access to meaningful connectivity. First, we need infrastructure innovation. We cannot cable the entire world. It is too expensive. The future is hybrid, using satellite constellations for the hardest-to-reach areas and community networks where local groups own their own infrastructure. Second, we need policy reform. Governments must stop treating the internet as a luxury good. Just as we subsidize water and electricity, lifeline data packages offering basic access to government sites and education must become standard. Device financing is also critical, as the cost of a smartphone remains the biggest barrier for many. Third, we need a literacy imperative. The Rwandan model should be exported globally. We need trainers to help the newly connected navigate the web safely and use digital tools for economic gain. Finally, we need inclusive design. Tech giants must be held accountable for the accessibility gap. AI tools can help automatically generate image descriptions and captions, but developers must prioritize these features. The cost of inaction is high. If we allow the gap to widen, we risk creating a caste system for the 21st century. The digital elite will live in a world of AI-enhanced productivity and opportunity, while the disconnected underclass will be left fighting for scraps in a shrinking physical economy. However, the path to universal connectivity offers a prize of unimaginable value. The World Bank estimates that raising internet penetration to 75% in all developing countries would add $2 trillion to their collective GDP and create 140 million jobs. The technology to close the gap exists. The satellites are in orbit, and the fiber is being spun. The missing link is no longer hardware. It is political will and human empathy. We have built the wall. Now we must build the door. Thank you for listening to G Fun Facts Online.